all of you will have the access to this recording. Welcome to the webinar. This webinar is the first introductory class on analytics, data analytics. It's actually one of the two classes that we conduct, which are the complementary classes for the Analytics Accelerator Certification Program, which is a 2-month certification program run by EquiSkill.com globally. I want to talk a little bit about EquiSkill.com and what we do. Our mission or our vision is to create an ecosystem where corporates, academia, and learners come and learn analytics, and it acts as a multiplier for economies. Our vision is that everyone should be able to draw insights from the vast amounts of data that we all have access to on the internet to be able to better ourselves, our organization, or our country. If you look at it, the values at EquiSkill.com are mostly about practice and practice, right? The only way that you learn analytics is by practice, and the way we've designed this course is that you have a huge amount of practice in each and every class. We call it the click and follow workshop. So let me actually show you that over here. It's called the click and follow analytics workshops, and you'll experience that today if you've installed Tableau. We have a small class size, try to pay a lot of attention to each learner and try to keep a relationship with you going forwards. We've got faculties who are actually corporate. So I've worked at Amazon, and you'll see our experience in a very short time. We basically are real analytics professionals as opposed to trainers, which we think is far more effective. Okay, so here's a little bit about us. I'm going to start off with myself before I hand it over to Ujjwal for his introduction. So I'm Amit, and I'm a computer engineer from the University of Delhi and an MBA in SCMHRD, Symbiosis International University. I've actually worked with Amazon.com Hyderabad, and I've supported multiple teams that work directly and closely with Sebastian Gernigam, who reports to Jeff Bezos. Had a chance to work very closely with Sebastian, and Jeff, I met him when he came to India in 2009 to grow Amazon.in, which is Amazon India. I've worked with GE, specifically with the GE R&D, right, and which includes manufacturing analytics. And with Citi, I was with the global analytics and insight, right? So that's what I was up to. And at Amazon, I've worked closely with the fraud analytics team. Specifically, we call it TRMS, transaction risk management systems, but it's basically fraud analytics, right? So that's what my experience is about. And now I'm just going to go and talk a little bit. Let me see if I can enable Ujjwal and have Ujjwal sort of speak about his experience before we proceed, going forward. So Ujjwal, here we go. I'm going to unmute you. Ujjwal,
Hello,
please.
everybody. Hi, guys. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Okay, so everybody say hello to Ujjwal or say hi in the chat box if you can hear him.
Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone. As part of my introduction, I'm currently working in HSBC as a manager in commercial banking analytics division. Our primary role and responsibility is to get business problems and try and solve them using analytics or data mining, which involves anything ranging from reporting to statistical modeling. I have a formal education in analytics from ISB, and one thing which I'm really passionate about is about sharing my learning, because I believe that once you start sharing the learning is where your skill enhances multifold. And that's where I am with the EquiSkill, trying to make a difference by sharing my knowledge with all of you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Ujjwal, for that introduction. Ujjwal is from the International School of Business, ISB, and I'm going to go ahead now and talk about the companies that we've trained at. So we've trained hundreds of professionals at companies ranging from Microsoft, KPMG, EY, ABB, Texas Instruments, a lot more than what you see on the screen right now. And thank you so much, Dell PC. I don't know what your name is, but you're saying thanks for the meeting, so thank you so much. And thanks a ton, Jeffrey, for your greetings. Jeffrey Chang just joined us. Okay, so some of you are drawing on the board, which is great. We actually love participation from our students, right? And thank you so much for using that opportunity and getting your hands dirty there. Now what I'm going to do is just talk a little bit about what we do online. So if you look at specifically some of the links that we wanted to talk about. Let me see if I can pull up a couple of links here. So you'll find us on Quora.com, and I specifically blog a lot on Quora.com. If you search Amit Upadhyay 104, you will look at around 254 blogs that I've written on analytics. And if you click on analytics and the most viewed writers worldwide, you'll see our top 5 ranking on analytics globally. So more than welcome to actually connect with me on Quora, and I'd love to answer your questions on Quora as well going forwards. And I've put that into the chat box. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to put it into the document that I have here. That I'm going to share the link with all of you at the end of this class, right? Okay, so that's our Quora profile, but you'll also see that we're at a couple of other places. We're also on Facebook. Let me see if I can get our Facebook page opened up for you, so you can actually like our Facebook page. This is a totally free event, but I would be really thankful if all of you could actually like our Facebook page, so you get cool updates from us on all the free events that we organize, as well as some of the certification programs that are actually paid. But then typically, again, a lot of the classes there are free of cost. So here we go. This is our Facebook page. Could you all just open up the Facebook page at your end? And if you would like to like our page, please do like our page. I would deeply appreciate that from your end. Okay, so I'm going to go back to my presentation now. Listen, the reason why we're here today and the reason why we're even talking is that there's just a huge amount of data that is getting generated each and every minute on the internet. And here's the statistics, right? These are mind-boggling statistics. And let me just try to sort of put this into perspective for you, right? Every minute on the internet, we're looking at, and you're free to draw on the board, folks. Treat this like your own board. Use the pen. Feel free to draw, right? So 277,000 tweets a minute, right? 2,460,000 approximate shares on Facebook. Massive amount of emails being sent, Google searches, images, on different places like Instagram, as well as video on YouTube. So if you look at the data today, right, a couple of things. First of all, credit to domo.com for this, statistic. But if you look at the data, they talk about it as the 3 V's, volume, velocity, and variety. So the data is huge in its volume, right? And it's actually got a lot of variety, which means that there's text data, there's videos, okay, and sorry for the spelling mistake there. And apart from videos, you've got music, you've got audio, you've got images. So many different kinds of data, and you're going to watch us analyze today not just some numbers, but also some text. So we're going to attempt to give you a fantastic demo using the R programming language and analyze text for you today. So pretty cool stuff lined up. Hang around. We've got a couple of chat comments. Okay, how do you draw on the screen? Well, you'll find something called annotate, and if you see annotate, you will be able to draw on the screen, right? Thank you so much for that question. Really appreciate it. I'm going to move ahead. See, you've got to understand that data is doubling every 2 years, right? And so 2 years from now, the amount of data is going to be twice the amount of data that you have today on the internet. And some of you have raised your hands, so please feel free to put your comment in the chat box. You've got Dhairata Saka, you've raised your hand, so please put in your comments in the chat box. We're more than happy to take your questions. Okay, so we've understood that data is doubling every 2 years on the internet. So 2 years from now, the amount of data on the internet is going to be exactly double of the data that you see today, right? And I'm going to record this session and share it in a document with all of you. So don't worry about it, Varun Gulati. You're going to get this entire session recorded at the end of the session, okay? Because of these reasons, a lot of jobs have become hugely popular on the entire space worldwide. And as you can see, data scientists are the second highest popular job. This is 2015, but it's not any different today in 2017. Apart from cloud computing, really the second hottest job in the world today is data science, because of the vast amounts of data that we're generating globally and the need to understand this data. If you think about it, right, The companies in the 80s, which were actually leading all of the companies worldwide, were all actually oil companies. And some of you may remember the oil companies in the 1980s and 90s that were actually, leading the revenue worldwide. Can some of you name those companies for me in the chat box? Take a guess. Come on. We love good guesses at EquiSkill. The only thing we love more than good guesses are bad guesses. So in the chat box, let me see some guesses, right? Which companies? Oil companies. There you go. So Abhishek says Exxon. Um, Kinan Patel says Crane. Tejinder says Shell. ONGC. Absolutely. BP says Nikhil Pasnuri, right? So you guys, probably heard of, Chevron. You've probably heard of Exxon, right? And you probably heard of Mobil. All of these companies were, oil companies that were leading. But today, if you look at it, right, the companies that are leading globally are actually data companies. You might be tempted to think that Facebook is a social networking company, but think again. Or you might be tempted to think that LinkedIn is actually a professional networking company. Well, that just happens to be, what they're doing. But the reality is they're actually data companies, and they actually thrive and they make maximum amount of business out of the data that they have. And that's why at EquiSkill we like to say that data is the new oil, data is also the new soil. And think about that. Now, before I go anywhere else, I want to talk to you about the different kinds of analytics. And I'm sure all of you have heard of so many different kind of analytics, right? And Vindhya, you're absolutely right. Vindhya says, what about Pinterest? So Vindhya, as you saw a couple of slides ago, right? You can see over here that we've also got Pinterest on the top left corner. You're absolutely right, Vindhya. So now I want you to all tell me, what are the different kinds of analytics? Now, the only thing I love more than a good guess is a bad guess. Okay. So what are the different kinds of analytics that you've heard of? Come on, folks, let's get it. Vasudev says predictive. Akshay says predictive analytics. Kishore says several. Tell me more, Kishore. Ankit says predictive. Forecasting says Ashmeet. Albert says descriptive analytics. Okay, that's interesting, Albert. Kishore says customer analytics. Right, right. And I'm sure some of you have heard of big data analytics. Anyone? In the chat box, I'm asking question. Okay, absolutely. And I'm sure some of you have heard of data analytics, right? Now this is all getting pretty confusing, isn't it? So the first thing that I want to clear out, right? And some of you have heard of technologies like Hadoop as well. So the simple thing that I want to do is I want to simplify this for you, right? I want to simplify this to a point where it becomes really, really easy if someone asks you what are the different kinds of analytics. And that's what we're going to do in the next slide. So you want to think about it in very simple terms, folks, right? And here's how you want to think about it. If you look at it, let me pick a different pen color. I'll pick a pink. Please don't mind. It's just to make sure that you see it distinct from all the other colors. Or let me see if I can pick up um, purple. Okay, I'll go with purple. There we go. The first kind of analytics you want to think about is descriptive analytics. And this is really important, okay? What descriptive analytics does is it describes what is going on in my business today. Okay. And the moment you try to describe what is going on in my business, for example, sales has gone up in the last month, or employee attrition has gone down in the last 3 months. You usually describe this with the help of a table that has some data in it, or you may actually draw a graph and talk about how sales is going up. The moment you talk about what is going on in the business, you're actually describing the business, and that is known as descriptive analytics. It typically involves describing what has happened in the past, and therefore you see the word hindsight written there. Okay, so if we all broadly understand at a very high level what is descriptive analytics is nothing but what is going on in my business. Now let's take, for example, sales. Let's say that sales has gone up drastically in the last 1 month. It's gone up by a sharp 30%, from last month to this month. If you're the person heading up the sales department, what would be your next question if I told you that sales has gone up by 30%? Come on, in the chat box, everyone. Take a guess. Simple, simple. Just think of yourself as the head of sales, and the sales has gone up, and what would be your next question? Absolutely right. Ankit says, why has it gone up? And you're saying, how can we take it up further? But really, the next logical question would be, whoops, why did this happen? Right? Exactly what did we do right? Or what did we do wrong? Or do we know why this actually happened? The moment you ask the question why, folks, right, you're actually asking, you're trying to predict why it went up, why this particular behavior happened, and that is nothing but predictive analytics. So let's talk about a second kind of analytics now. After descriptive analytics, you have predictive analytics. Now if you look at it here, you see that predictive analytics also talks about insight. So you're trying to understand why things happened the way they happened, not just what happened, which is hindsight. Okay, so that is predictive analytics, the second kind of analytics after descriptive, which is the base of the pyramid. And finally, the third is prescriptive analytics, where you prescribe, how should I now proceed in the future so that I can get even more sales, right? Or how should I proceed in the future so that I can get lesser attrition? Okay, if attrition went up. So do you have different measures for different businesses? But the moment you try to prescribe, how do I proceed in the future? What you're trying to do is called prescriptive analytics. Okay, so we now know the different kind of analytics: descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. Okay, so you're probably going to ask me, okay, Amit, where does big data analytics fit in? Where does data analytics fit in? How is business analytics different? Look, a lot of this is sales and marketing, folks, and I'm going to sort of have Ujjwal also chime in a little bit in a very short while, right? Now let me talk about this a little bit more. Okay, so big data analytics is nothing but any one of these analytics if it's performed using big data tools, and big data tools include Hadoop, right? And they could include Spark. Okay, and if you perform any one of these analytics on a data set that exceeds, for example, at least 1 GB, right, you're looking at big data analytics. If it's smaller than a GB, you might use tools that are not big data analytics tools, that are data analytics tools like R or SAS. But really, on very large data sets, you're going to have to, use bigger tools. If you look at data analytics, okay, it can be applied in any domain, right? So you could apply data analytics in clinical drug trials, okay? And then if you applied it in drug trials, it would be healthcare analytics. But if you applied the same thing in a bank, it would be financial analytics. Okay, so it's just the domain that changes, but fundamentally it's data analytics that you're doing, or you're doing big data analytics depending on what kind of business that you're doing it for. So I hope this is really, really clear to everyone. If you have any questions, I can take them before we go ahead. So do not get caught up in the words. Business analytics, data analytics, there's only three kinds of analytics, folks: descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. Okay. Okay. Should we use Hadoop for small data? Says Kinnal Patel. Great question. Thank you so much, Kinnal. I love that question. Look, the way I want to answer that question is really, really easy. You want to think about it more in terms of the nail and the hammer, okay? And if you've got, for example, a very small nail, okay, let's say a really, really small nail about this size, it would be hard to use a hammer that had, width of this size, right? You'd want to use a smaller hammer, right? This would be a too big a hammer to use. But for a nail of this size, I'd probably be more than happy to use a hammer about this size, ain't it? Okay, so that answers your question. If you've got a small data set, you don't need to use Hadoop. Hadoop is very hard to install. Hadoop is expensive to hire people for that. You can very easily get by on a small data set with Microsoft Business Intelligence. You can get by with Tableau, right? And if it exceeds, that, you can get by with R or SAS. And if it becomes even bigger, then you need to think about Hadoop. Okay, not before that. Okay, I hope that answers your question satisfactorily. I really want to thank you for that question. Okay. I heard a little data as well. Thought it was something too silly. Varun, I'll answer that question as well in a very short while. I just need to understand your question a little better. Are they all open source, says Kinan Patel? Now, this is a great question. It's really important for us folks to understand what open source is about. So some of these tools are open source, some of them are not. For example, Microsoft is not open source, Tableau is not open source, SAS is not open source. But R is open source and Python is open source. And by open source, it's free of cost. So a lot of companies these days are using R in a big way and using Python. The older companies that have actually invested in the softwares and tools are actually using those softwares and tools like SAS. Okay. Okay. Right. So you, Varun, you want to think of, big data. Typically, it varies from tool to tool, but R is able to handle data sets of up to 200 or 300 MB. Bigger than that, it begins to struggle, right? So you want to think of a bigger data set, okay? And that needs to be handled by big data tools. Now, let me just, spend a little bit of time here very quickly, folks. Thanks. We'll just, focus back on the slide again. So let's all come back to the slide. What is descriptive analytics? So descriptive analytics is reports, really important. Okay, all your reports, and is also all your graphs. It is also your dashboards, okay, that you present to summarize how the business is doing. And these things form the foundation of analytics that you're going to do later. Because only when you talk about, what's going on in your business, when you say what is when you can actually say why is it happening the way it's happening. Unless you have reports, graphs, and dashboards, there's no way that you can move to predictive analytics. Even alerts, for example, if your credit card has been used in a different country, or if your stock on your inventory of a particular product at Walmart is about to finish, these alerts are also descriptive analytics. Very often you'll think that people talk a lot about prescriptive analytics, for example machine learning and big data, but the reality is 80% of the work, if not more, is actually in descriptive and predictive analytics. Of that, I would say more than 50% of the work is actually in descriptive analytics, and then roughly 20% is prescriptive analytics, which is the higher end technologies. Now over here, I want to pause for a quick second and also get the input of Ujwal. So Ujwal is in corporate banking analytics, right? And he's going to talk about this. Now Kirtana says, can processing be done on Tableau? Yes, you can process on Tableau, and we will have a demo coming up in a very short while, Kirtana. Okay, so please hold on. I've got a Tableau demo coming up live in this session. Ujwal, I wanted to see if you want to sort of contribute to this slide. So I've got you unmuted, Ujwal.
Thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks a lot. Uh, Guys, a very small input from my side. First of all, I think Amit was still very positive about the percentages. I would say 80% of the industry just do descriptive, okay? And if I'll talk about my own organization, 90% of the people do that. And that is where really the journey starts, okay? So I'm not trying to say that this is where the end of the world is, but this is where really the universe or the world of analytics starts. And primarily because until unless you won't understand the business problem, how will you really try and find out the solutions? Okay. And in order to find out the business problem, it is very important to understand that what has already happened. That is where Amit is talking about hindsight, the facts. Understand the facts of the business first, understand what the data is speaking, and that can only happen with reporting, with MIs, with your management reporting. Once you have got a good hang around that, is where you start moving towards predictive or prescriptive kind of analytics. So trust me guys, if you really want to get a good hang of predictive and prescriptive, it is very important to understand data, understand your domain, okay, and then only move on to that. Okay, I have seen a lot of folks straight away jumping onto things like machine learning and regressions and logistics of the world. But I would highly recommend that till the time you don't get good hang of the data and you're not very comfortable with the domain, knowing these techniques will also not help a lot. Okay, yeah, that's a food for thought from my side. Thanks.
Thanks a ton, Ujwal, for those inputs, and I hope that we're all clear about the different kind of analytics. Now, when you look at predictive analytics, right, and Vindhya says, great point. When you look at predictive analytics, you see that a lot of things that qualify as predictive analytics are around modeling or forecasting, revenue forecasting, things like attrition, any quantitative analysis that you do, advanced forecasting that you do. All of these sort of qualify as predictive analytics. And then finally, things like dynamic rule utilization or the Amazon recommendation engine, that when you buy a wireless keyboard, it says buy a wireless mouse. So those kind of dynamic rules, real time utilizations are all prescriptive analytics, right? Okay, so I'm hoping that this is really clear to everyone. I'm going to move ahead and talk about some of the applications of analytics that you might want to actually be aware of. Okay, and this will be good food for thought when you actually talk to anyone about analytics. So one thing I want to talk about is upselling and cross selling. Now, suppose that I have an Amex credit card. Okay, Amex is American Express credit card, and nothing special about Amex. I really like Amex, Citibank, anyone. Suppose I have a silver credit card. Okay, what would you try to sell me next? Okay, I have a silver credit card. You're from American Express, and you want to sell me something. What would you sell me next? Which category of credit card? Okay, I like lots of guesses. Oh, absolutely right. Vasudev says gold. Gunjan says platinum. Vindhya says gold, Kinnan says platinum. There you go. So the moment you guys try to sell me the same product, which is a credit card, but you try to sell me a higher value credit card, HV standing for higher value, that's known as upselling. But if I tell you, hey, you know what, I'm pretty happy with my silver credit card. I don't think I need another credit card, right? Then what would you try to sell me? Now you're also from some financial company. You know that I'm not going to buy a card. Okay, so one idea is an add-on card. Okay, that could be, but suppose I say I don't want cards at all, right? And you know that I've got a lot of money, I'm rich. You're from a financial company, you're from a bank. Absolutely. So now we're talking, right? So Ankit says e-wallet, Abhishek Kumar says insurance. Okay, and I'm going to use a different color of pen here, right? So I'm going to use a green pen to denote cross-selling. Now I can actually cross sell to all these people and sell them insurance, or I can send them an e-wallet from Amex, and we can do this using analytics, upselling and cross selling. We also need to understand what segment that the customer belongs to. So you've got to figure out how much money I have. So if I'm a high net worth individual, I've got a lot of money. You can actually sell me different things from if I'm a low net worth individual, right? How do you do that? You do that using a technique in analytics that we call clustering, which we teach in this program, the Analytics Accelerator Certification. There you go. So Bikash Lashkar talks about clustering. Now let's talk about A-B testing. And A-B testing was phenomenally helpful to none else than Barack Obama. Okay. And how did it help Obama is something you want to read about. So they wanted to send out millions of emails to Americans requesting for contributions or donations to the Barack Obama second re-election campaign. And he hired someone who actually ran a huge campaign, social media campaign, and they figured out using thousands of emails they sent out to people with many different formats. So they had email format number 1, email format 2, 3. One said, I, Barack Obama, request your contribution to my re-election campaign. 2 said, would you like to contribute to Barack Obama's re-election campaign? And they figured out what kind of email worked better for what kind of people, and they actually drafted the right emails, and they sent out those emails across America to different people. As it turned out, a lot of people liked emails that said, I, Barack Obama, request your help and your donation in my campaign. And this is one of the most strongest case studies where more than 200 million US dollars were raised for the re-election campaign bid of Barack Obama. So you want to read about that a little bit. You'll also see that each and every industry, starting from retail to banking and financial services to shopping online to healthcare, telecom, social media, everybody is using these techniques, right? It doesn't matter which industry you're in, you're going to use analytics. And if you want to enter analytics, that's great. Even if you don't want to enter analytics full time, you can use analytics at the workplace and make a huge difference to what you're doing. Okay, You can see that banks, really value analytics. There's a new, branch that has opened up, a bank that has opened up in Europe. I forget the name. I'm going to update in the Google document. It's got very few branches, very few branches. So how many branches do you think it has? Let's take a guess. Come on, folks. Everyone can guess. This is nice and easy. A bank with very few branches in Europe. And how many branches do you think? So Rajiv says five. Abhishek says one. 5 to 10 says Kinal, Gokul, Vasudev. How about everybody else? Let's all guess, folks. Jeffrey says 30. Thanks, Jeffrey. Okay. So, Tejinder is actually pretty close to the reality, right? This bank has 0 branches. Wow. Isn't that super cool? And Andrew got it as well. It's actually 0 branches. Okay. Some very young people have opened up this bank. The reality is, that, they don't even have virtual branches, Ankit. The reality is that, think about this, right? Wrap your head around this. People need banking. Okay. They don't necessarily need a bank. That sounds curious, doesn't it? So, what does that mean? That means that I can get the banking I want from PayPal. I can get the banking I want from the Amazon wallet, right? And I can invest also online today. Let's say, for example, on bitcoins, right? So there's many different ways in which I can bank. I can spend money. I can invest money without a bank, and that's where analytics is helping banks a lot. Saying no, it's not DBS. It's not DBS. It's actually a different bank, right? Like V Airtel Bank. Yes, it could be that. I actually put the name of the bank in the document that we have, right, for all of us. The point is analytics. Okay, where is that helpful? So analytics helps figure out what is it that the customers need, and are there different ways in which you can actually provide it to customers. For example, digital channels. Okay, and this is known as omni channels. If you haven't heard about it, you want to read about this. It's called omni channel banking, and analytics helps you figure out how to do omni channel banking. Today the competition for HSBC, or today the competition for Citibank, is not other banks. The competition is actually online companies. But of late, even the HR department has figured out, and trust you me, when HR comes to analytics, the party is really beginning to pick up, right? In 2013, they figured out that they were way behind on analytics, and CEOs said that they wanted a lot more data. And you can see all the orange bars here. The orange bars signify, where CEOs thought that the amount of data that they currently saw was inadequate. And as you can see, they're pretty big bars there, right? So even the HR department got into analytics in a big way, and you see HR being shaped, brand new at Google, at many other companies, by analytics. And this is the typical career path, right? Let's talk about the career path that you can expect in the US. It could be anywhere from ranging from $75,000 onwards till at least $500,000. And in India, it could be 7.5 lakh rupees to 1.5 crore rupees at the top of the ladder. So I'll just talk about careers very quickly, and again, Ujjwal, I will, pull you in here in a very short while. So let me just talk about careers. Typically, you enter as a data analytics analyst, right? You can also call this a trainee data scientist. Some companies call it a trainee data scientist, though I don't like that a lot, but that's probably okay. I think a data scientist, if you ask me, typically has to have 5+ years experience, but these are people that do a lot of descriptive analytics. Okay, not so much predictive. You start working on existing models and refining them when you reach a senior analyst kind of role, 3 to 5 years of experience, right? And you start working more on the modeling side, let's say 20% of your time, and that is a senior analyst. A lead analyst really can develop a new model. Okay, not just work on the old or existing models, but they can develop a new model. Managers can actually manage analytics for a particular client. They could manage analytics for a particular product in an e-commerce company, right? They could actually manage analytics even for a small country. Okay, if you give them a small country or a region, they could manage the entire analytics in that region for you. AVPs and VPs typically have either responsibility for a geography, okay, for example, South America or the Banamex Bank in Mexico, right? Or they have responsibility for a particular product. For example, they may be looking at a product or a service. For example, they may be looking at banking analytics worldwide, right? Or credit card analytics worldwide. And then you typically have, a director who kind of heads up the entire analytics for the company globally. They may be called the chief data officer. They might also be called, for example, the head of analytics, right? Or they could also be called, these days it's kind of fashionable to call yourself the head of machine learning. Yeah, they do that as well. You don't want to get caught up in the terminology, but this is actually how the typical sort of career path goes in analytics. Now, analytics is multidisciplinary, and I'm sorry, before I go anywhere else, Ujjwal, would you like to contribute to, career paths, and would you like to talk about this a little bit? Is there anything that you wanted to add on? Let me see if I can quickly unmute Ujjwal on this point here. Just a second. Okay, there we go. Okay, Ujjwal, here we go. Would you like to chime in on
Thanks,
this
Amit.
slide?
Yeah. Again, another small feeder, guys. Uh, don't go with the names as Amit suggests. Manager, AVP, VP, EVP. Whatever the designation is. But this is the industry where every level is expected to be hands-on. It is different from any other industry, wherein if you look at a typical software setup, you would expect your team leader to support you, and manager basically, takes care of the management part of the stuff. Okay, but in an industry like this, which belongs to analytics, even a manager, AVP, or even a VP is expected to do hands-on either today or tomorrow. So there is no escape from real work as such. Until unless you get your hands dirty, until unless you practice, and until unless you really get there, there is no way you can, climb this hierarchy and reach the top positions. But even if you reach those top positions, you will be expected to be hands-on every time. That is a small
Okay.
point from my side.
That's great. That's great, Ujjwal. And don't worry, folks. We will take questions at the end for those of you that want to transition. But if you have any question right now, absolutely, you are free to share that. So Kirtana says, is data visualization a part of these roles? Absolutely, it is. Okay. And if you look at it, descriptive analytics uses data visualization in a very heavy way. So over here in this slide, you see descriptive analytics. It has a huge amount of management reports, dashboards, graphs, charts, and every one in this hierarchy is actually going to present the last mile of insight using descriptive analytics. So using data visualization. So Ujjwal, you want to join in there and share your comments on that question, please? Ujjwal, did you want to share anything else? Okay, I've unmuted you, Ujjwal. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Amit. Guys, see, again, let me just give you a small perspective around this. Okay, that was a wonderful question, Keetana. Uh, the point is that you can do analytics, you can run models, you can come up with complicated equations. Okay, but how will you really tell this to a business guy? A business guy would not understand statistics. A business guy would not understand the numbers which you have crunched. Okay, and ultimately where it helps is the use of visualizations. You, doesn't matter which level of the hierarchy you are at. Okay, and doesn't matter how good you are at running models, until unless you're not ready to communicate the same to the business, is where you're losing. If you're communicating well by means of graphs, by means of visualizations, and the business is able to understand your output, is where you're winning. Okay, but if you're running best of models which is predicting 95% with accuracy, or with 99% of accuracy, but you're not communicating well, business is not understanding your output, all those predictabilities are of no use. Trust me on that.
Yep, that's a great point, and I'm sharing the link to the Google document again with everyone. One of you has requested the link to the Google Doc. This Google Doc will have everything that you need, folks, right? So let me go back now to my presentation. One of you spoke of data cubes, so you can use something called data cubes for two-dimensional or three-dimensional arrays of data, specifically for time series as well. It's really, really helpful. It's a little advanced, but yes, that's a very good observation from one of you, right? Okay. Okay, here we go. So let's move ahead, folks. The big thing you want to understand is no matter who you are, you're ready for analytics. And why do I say that? The reason I say that is that analytics is not the preserve of anyone from a particular team. It's not from a particular department, right? If you look at the skills that you require, and Akshay Reddy just asked this question, right? If you look at the skills required, here are the skills that you see, right? And you have some of these skills for sure today. First of all, you need to understand data science. You need to understand a certain amount of tools or technology, right? And you need to understand the techniques, which is data science. Okay, so I'm going to put that here as techniques. Okay, and most importantly, you need to also know the domain. And part of the reason why I am skeptical of data scientists who have very little experience is that they don't understand the domain. Now, I'll defer to Ujwal's view on this. Here's my view on this. My view is that data science is both science, okay, but it is also art, okay, in the sense that you do need intuition, okay. And what I mean by art, don't get me wrong, is that you need intuition to understand your data. And how do you build that intuition? You build the intuition by spending a lot of time in that industry. So the business skills that you see over here, the domain knowledge, okay, it could be telecom, okay, it could be banking, it could be HR analytics, right? These are very useful when you apply analytics to a particular domain. Is when you understand that domain, it really helps. You also though need to know all the techniques, for example logistic regression or linear regression, and when is it appropriate to use logistic regression, when might be it appropriate to use linear regression. But that's not enough. You need to be able to know a tool to apply all of that. So it might be SAS, it might be R, or if it's on the big data side, you might actually use Spark or Scala, right? You could also use, for most data sets, R and SAS are more than enough, right? Okay, so you're beginning to learn that you need all three of these skills, and one of you asked the question, to actually master business analytics and or data science, right? It's at the intersection of all three of these. Today, you probably have some of these skills. You need to acquire the others, right? And Gokul, I had answered the question, data science and business analytics are not different in any way, right? These are just industry terminologies, okay? You will see that data analytics uses Python and R, and business analytics also uses Python and R. But the one thing you can think about is, you want to wrap your head around, is when you apply data science to a business, for example, a private limited company or a financial business, you could sometimes call it business analytics. But it does not mean that if you apply data analytics to business, it is not business analytics. These are all the same things, Gokul. Many names for one thing. You want to think about it more as descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics, like we showed in a slide a little bit earlier, right? Okay. Excellent. So these are the skills you need, and I can assure you folks that you already have some of the skills. So now, can you tell me, all of you, do you actually have some experience? If you have experience, you probably have business skills. Do you, work in technology? Then you probably have some IT skills. Or, are you actually in analytics already? Then you might have data science skills. So what are the skills that you already have? Some of the skills that you already have. Could you put them in the chat box, please? Okay, do you know a particular domain? You could write the name of the domain if you're from HR. Or do you know a certain technology? Absolutely. There you go. So like you can see, some of you know IT, some of you know SQL, some of you know HR, C++. It's all useful. Some of you know finance with IT, some of you know Tableau and SQL, but you don't know R, right? Finance, Python, and data science is Varun, right? So you have some of the skills. You need to sort of complete your entire skill set, right? One of the questions is, how important is statistics? Statistics is actually quite important, right? And Mukul says he knows Informatica and he knows ETL. Okay, absolutely. A lot of people move from all of those domains. So data science, the foundation of data science is statistics, and you'll see that very shortly. So techniques like, linear regression, logistic regression, market basket analysis, or if you look at deviation, measures of central tendency, distributions are all very important. And how your data is skewed is actually really important. And what level of statistics, Varun, Vishnu, we're going to cover that very shortly. How much you need to know in statistics. And here we go. So this slide, kind of talks about it. So next Sunday, we're starting the batch, right? And all of you are welcome, okay? And, to join the class on Sunday. Again, the Google document already has the link over here for you to join the class on the Sunday. So all of you should join up and learn analytics in that particular class. Now let's talk about the flow of the program. Okay, here we go. So the way it works is, you first need to understand, how to sort of think critically and define problems. You need to get into statistics, okay, which is the foundation of analytics. And two classes, totally are focused completely. Ujjwal focuses on statistics. So, typically in this, the most important thing is what are the different kind of variables, okay, in analytics, and then what are the measures of central tendency. That's really important, and which measure is appropriate in what situation, right? And then things like distributions, probability distributions, these are really important. So normal distribution, Poisson distribution, all of those. And then we get into hypothesis testing. So how do you actually, frame a hypothesis? And hypothesis, don't get scared, okay? It's really easy. For example, if I were to put a sticker, okay, a free sticker along with a chocolate, and I were to sell this, right, would my sales go up or would my sales go down? Can you say yes if you think the sales would go up? Free stickers with chocolates. Come on. Okay, there we go. And what we've done right now, folks, is Eliviana Theo says yes, Ankit says yes, Kishore says yes, Gokul says yes, absolutely. So what we're doing here is we're forming a hypothesis, and the hypothesis is that if you actually give a sticker with the chocolate, the sales goes up. And the null hypothesis is that if you give a sticker with the chocolate, the sales does not go up. So this is hypothesis testing, and you have to test this using sales data. And then we get into more advanced statistics, right? We get into now the data science techniques of regression from then onwards, and more advanced techniques like you can see linear and logistic regression, time series forecasting, decision trees, shade, cart. These are really advanced techniques that we talk about. Then we get into Twitter analytics, and you'll see a demo today of text mining and text analytics, sentiment analytics, market basket analysis, which is if I can see what's in your market basket or your online basket, I can actually figure out what else I can sell you. Okay. And I can show ads that are relevant to you all along, and that is market basket analysis, clustering and segmentation of customers into different clusters and segments. And you can figure out what to sell to customers who are in different segments. For example, here's segment 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I can figure out what would be appropriate to sell to each one of these segments. For example, we talked about a little earlier in the day the high net worth segment. So this could be, let's say, the HNI segment, right? What do I sell these guys? Well, maybe platinum credit cards. Okay. What do I sell the guys right at the bottom? Maybe a good debit card with some, good add-on features, or maybe a cash card, right? Okay. So analytics can help us figure all of that out, isn't it? Superb. So let me clear all this. A couple of comments in the chat box. Right. Okay. So Andrew, Vindhya, Kinan had a couple of comments. It's perfectly fine. Andrew says no, sales will not go up. So that's the whole fun of it, right? Some of us said yes, some of us said no, and only data can tell us what is right. We cannot, comment right now without data science or data analytics which one of them is right. So the program actually ends with a capstone project, and you can get a capstone project in financial data, which is German credit card data. You can also get a capstone project in real attrition, okay, which is an HR capstone project where you can predict who is going to leave the company next. Now, wouldn't that be fun? How many of you think that would be a lot of fun to predict who's going to resign next from the company? Let's look at the comments coming in here just a second. I think this is going to be fun here. Absolutely, says Ankit, Vindhya, and Kirtana. Super fun, isn't it? Okay, a lot of you would love to do that. Or let's get a little more serious here. When you look at the German credit card data that we have, right, you can actually predict who you should give a loan to, or who is worthy of giving mortgage to, by looking at their data. And this is the capstone project which you get. You also get to put this on your resume. It really helps. You get to practice, and the program goes on for a total of 3 months, 2 months, and we will close the entire program in 2 months, and you'll come out being able to analyze data far more convincingly. So see you all next Sunday as well, just to reiterate. And these are the detailed modules. And the best place to look at all of these advanced techniques is actually the website, right? Ankit, you're right. It is useful, um, you know, for attrition modeling. And Varun, you say, what about why? Okay, yes, you can also actually predict why things are happening the way they're happening. Okay, so we're going to get to the most interesting part. I know you're all waiting for the demo, so we're going to do that, but look at all the tools that you're going to learn in this program. You're going to learn about Microsoft Business Intelligence tools, which are also called the Power BI tools. Really important. Excel is still used in a lot of the industry. And then we'll get deep into R, okay? And the program, to be very clear, 80% of the predictive analytics techniques we teach is in R. We get very hands-on in Tableau. We do visualization and visual analytics, charting, storytelling in Tableau. You will learn SQL. It's really important to be able to query your data. You will learn the introduction to descriptive analytics on SAS. You'll learn regression in SAS, and you'll learn time series in SAS. So you're going to become really hands-on in a lot of tools. We like to tell people that it's not about the tools, it's about the art and the science of data. Now, Power BI is actually, if you look at it, both of them, Kirtana, are actually data visualization tools. Power BI also has a lot of modeling capability. Tableau has limited modeling capability, but it is an excellent visualization tool compared to Power BI. Power BI is a much more comprehensive suite of tools, Kirtana. Classes are on weekends. So Kirtana, I hope that answers your question. Power BI handles modeling plus visualization, while Tableau is really focused more on visualization, little less on modeling. Power BI can handle slightly bigger data sets as well. Classes are on weekends, on Saturdays and Sundays. And Power BI is very useful because in many setups, we just have a couple of classes on Excel and Power BI, but we teach you some tools that are really important. So there's Power Pivot is the first tool, and Power Maps is the second tool. These are really, really important and useful for you. So we actually cover them in the program. And Kishore, the classes are on the weekend. So now you can look at all of the advanced techniques, folks, over here that you're going to cover in the program. Okay, pretty in depth. Typically, we call this the accelerator. So the important thing is that while the classes are on Saturdays and Sundays, you need to practice from Monday to Friday. I expect everyone to invest, Ujjwal and I expect around 3 hours of practice, at least from Monday to Friday. And then there are 6 hours of classes on Saturday and Sunday. So you can think of it more or less as a 9 hour per week commitment for at least around 8 weeks, right? So I would look at it more as 72 hours, of work for you to sort of get through it. And then 10 hours more in the capstone project. So total, I'd say in 82 hours of coursework in the program, right? Okay, let's see if there's more questions here. Is it going to be live classes on weekends like today, says Gokul? Absolutely. Absolutely. So all the classes are live, but understand this, okay? It is absolutely human for you to miss at least, I would say, 3 out of the 16 classes, okay? And that's why each and every class like today's class is recorded, and it's recorded 100%. You can watch it on YouTube as well. It's a confidential link that you will get from us. You'll get access to a learning management system which will have all the recordings. It will have the data. It will have the presentations, including this presentations here. All of that will be provided to you. The best part is that we've got a 21-day 100% refund warranty, okay? And you can get an unconditional refund, no questions asked, okay? Right? And it can happen sometimes, folks. Okay. So the fees, yes, we'll come to the fees in a very short while, Vishnu. So right now there's a huge discount going on, and I'll have the demos coming up. But since you've asked the question on the fees, those of us who are working internationally, right, and you're out of any location globally, you will see that it's $399, right? But currently it's discounted for you, and we're running this discount for 1 week. So it's going to be $289 only. Okay, so please do feel free to talk to me. If you need flexible payment options, just email me at contact@EquiSkill.com, and that can be worked out for those that need those options as well. But the best and the discounts that you get is on a one-time payment, and it's just $289 right now. Okay, this is for people that want to pay in dollars. If you want to pay in Indian rupees, then if you go to the course page, right? EquiSkill.com. Okay, here we go. On the website, you see the Analytics Accelerator certification. Again, you will see that we've got a massive discount running right now. So instead of 21,900 rupees, it's just 18,900 rupees. You want to click on the Enroll Now button, right? And there's a further discount which will be valid for exactly 1 week. So you want to click on View Basket, okay? And then you want to type out the coupon code NY1000, okay? You want to apply this coupon code and it will go down to 17,100. And this is just for 1 week, and then this coupon code will be disabled. So this is pretty much equal to $289. Okay, great. So that's how that works. Refund based on, so Kirtana says refund based on any reason. So it's very easy, Kirtana. It works absolutely like Amazon. So I've worked at Amazon. For any reason, if you're not able to continue for any reason whatsoever, no questions. Okay, we just refund. Simple. That's it. That's just the way it works. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Kirtana. Look, folks, we just want you to be very comfortable. Okay, and that's why we have it the way it is. Okay, there we go. So now we're going to kick off on the demo, and I'm going to open up Tableau. Do you have more questions on this before we go ahead? Here you can see Ujjwal and me with the faculties, and you can see the detailed course curriculum on this page here. You can look at it right here. Detailed course curriculum and a lot of feedbacks from our customers. You also want to go to Quora.com, right? So if you go to Quora.com, and you type EquiSkill, you get to see very good feedbacks from our customers on Quora. By the way, it's also there in the Word document. So if you just open up this Word document, you've got a link here that says EquiSkill feedbacks on Quora. You can just open up that link, and here you go. You get all of these feedbacks from my learners who got placed. Some of them, we helped them with jobs. Some of them wanted to learn. So you see all of their feedbacks right here, right? Lots of links. Okay, there you go. And it's time for our demo. So how many of you are now excited about seeing Tableau? Okay, so Rajiv, I'm going to answer your question towards the end of the program. Do you cover recommendation system also? We give recommendations to good learners. Yes. And everyone is excited about the demo. Andrew says he's excited. Kenan says excited. So let's not waste time. Bring it on. Let's get the demo going, right? So let's talk about Tableau. So we're going to open up Tableau first, and then we'll do a text mining demo talking about Flipkart.com and United Airlines, right? You all know what happened on United Airlines. You're going to see how this impacts the reputation of the company a little bit later in the day and how people feel globally about it. So first up, I'm just going to pull out Tableau. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to, connect, as you can see, Tableau can connect to a lot of data sources, starting from Amazon Redshift to SAP to Hadoop. It can connect to every data server that you can imagine. But for the purpose of our demo today, I'll just see if I can connect up to a simple data set that I had lined up today. It's called the Global Superstore data set, okay? And we're going to see if we can open up this data set for you and actually run some descriptive analytics on Tableau. So we talked about descriptive analytics. First up, you can see that a lot of orders have been placed. A lot of people are involved in the business, and there are returns in the business. You can see that on the left hand side. So I'm going to drag orders and drop it here on the canvas and open up all of the orders, right? Now the beauty of Tableau is automatically opens up the data set here, and you can see a lot of the orders that have been placed globally across the countries in the world. Okay, over here in this data set, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you see that it's a huge data set, more than 30,000 rows of data there, right? And what I'm going to do is also take the returns and drop it over here in the canvas. And the moment I do that, Tableau automatically detects that the orders and the returns are in the same market. So it actually connects up these two tables automatically. For the time being though, what I'm going to do is just, remove returns and just focus on orders. And in Tableau, we work on visual analytics, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on the bottom left corner where it says sheet 1 and click on sheet 1, and I'm going to open up, the visual sheet here. There you go. Now, if you're seeing Tableau for the first time, very quickly, I just want to introduce you to the tool. Really nice tool. Okay. And let me just show you some of the important parts of the tool, right? Here we go. So you have the dimensions and the measures. Now, dimensions are the things that you actually describe your business. For example, if I talk about a baby, okay, and a baby was born just now, okay, what numbers would you use to describe the baby? Or just not just the numbers, how would you describe the baby? How does a mother, how does a hospital describe a baby when the baby is born? Everybody in the chat box. All right, come on, let's get a lot of comments in the chat box, folks. Okay, here we go. Right, you've got gender, weight, okay, keep going. Is it a boy or a girl? Eye color, parents' names, okay, there you go, right? So let me put all of these here, right? So you said gender, right? You said weight, okay? You said the color of the eyes, okay? You said a lot of other things, like names, okay? You said the parents' names, okay? Delicacy, okay. Is the child delicate or not? Okay, Jeffrey Chang says height, weight, gender, name, absolutely. So these are variables, okay. Gender is a variable that can take on two values, male, female. Weight is a numerical variable, okay. Gender is a categorical variable. I'll teach you, it can be different categories like male, female. There could be some more, but we'll talk about that later. Color of the eyes, right? This could be a categorical variable, many categories like blue, green, okay? None is better than the other. Blue eyes, green eyes, brown eyes are all great. You could have names. Again, this is a text variable. It's a categorical variable. Parents' names, again, a text variable. So these things describe the baby, and these are dimensions, okay? Now, some of them are measures though, and let's talk about which ones are measures, okay? Things like weight is a measure, because we want the weight of a baby to be somewhere between, let's say, for example, 2 kgs to 5 kgs, and that's a healthy baby. So that's a measure for the baby, right? Can you give me more examples of measures for a baby? Come on, think hard. A baby was just born, okay? I'm going to measure the weight of the baby. What else? Okay, there you go. Height is also a measure. It's not a dimension, right? Age, okay, age is a measure, okay? Heart rate, there you go. So Ankit has come up with the heart rate. That's important. That's also. So any data set, right, has dimensions and it also has measures. Measures are the things that we want to measure. We want them to be either high or low, or we want them to be in a certain range, okay? I'm using the word range here, and the other here is dimensions. Okay, there you go. Now you're clear on what are dimensions and measures. Is everyone clear on what are dimensions and measures? Yes, in the chat box if you're clear. Right. Okay, superb, superb. Everyone is clear. You also have a hint now of what are the different kinds of variables. Now, watch me break down this data set in Tableau really, really fast. You can practice on your computer by installing Tableau Public free of cost and downloading this data set from the Word document that I give you. I'm going to take markets, okay? And I'm going to figure out where I'm getting the maximum sales, okay? Where I'm selling the maximum number of products. How do I do that? I take market and I drop the market on the column. I take the quantity from the measure. Quantity is a measure. I want to sell a lot of products, okay? I take the category of the product and I drop it on the rows. Is it this easy? Let's just figure this out. I take category and I drop it on the rows over here. I drop market and quantity on the columns. This is beginning to make sense. Africa, EMEA are the markets in the columns. And I see in the rows, I have furniture, office supplies, and technology, which are the different categories, right? What about the customer segments? Let me see if I can pick that up and include that in here. So I'll drop it on the rows and boom, now I see all the customer segments: consumers, corporates, and home office segment, okay? But can I use color? I'd like to see each market as a different color: the US, LATAM, EU, EMEA. So I'll take the market and I'll drop it on top of color over here. And nice and easy, in a quick flash, we're able to actually now see, we're able to now see which markets we're doing well in and which markets we're not doing so well in. So let me make this the entire view and let me project and ask you the question. Can you tell me which market is an emerging market where we're still trying to find our feet and grow our revenue? Is it Africa, APAC, Canada, EMEA, EU, LATAM, US? In which market are we still trying to grow? Absolutely right. So Africa is one, Canada is one. Jeffrey, you're right. Right, EMEA, Africa, Canada, you guys got it. And which seem to be the healthiest markets for us, where we're actually getting the maximum amount of sales, right? Okay, the healthiest markets: EU, US, absolutely. North America and the EU region. Okay, so now this is so easy for us to sort of figure out using Tableau. And I'm going to, rename this sheet. Okay, and let me just rename this emerging markets. There we go. And instead of entire view, I'll fit the height. This is a, or let me see if I can just, make this fit the width like this. This is better. Now I'll open another sheet, okay? This time I want to know in which countries am I getting the maximum profits? And this is how easy it is. Mukul, Tableau, Mukul's got a great question. How do you find out what's a dimension and a measure? So believe it or not, Tableau automatically, detects the dimensions and measures, Mukul, for you. In case you want to take something from a dimension and drop it into a measure, you can do that like this, okay? Otherwise, Tableau will automatically detect the dimensions and the measures on the basis of your data. So it's very intelligent in that sense, Mukul. Is that clear? Okay. I hope that's clear, Mukul. We'll look for your comment. Now, suppose I want to know in which country I'm making the maximum profits. So watch how easy it is. The hardest part, can be to figure out where we're making profit. So I'll click on country and I'll click on sales. And let me see where I'm making the maximum sales. So I've selected country and sales by using the control button on the keyboard. I've pressed both of them and I've selected them. And I click on the show me tool. The moment I do that, I actually see that Tableau is making some recommendations. Okay, it's saying, hey, these are some of the graphs that I want you to use. And it's making one particular graph is getting highlighted. It's called the symbol maps. And the others are kind of grayed out, which means Tableau doesn't want you to use them. So let me go with the recommendation. Okay, I'm going to choose symbol maps. I'm going to double click symbol maps. The moment I do that, it draws all of the countries in the world and I can see the sales in each of the countries. Boom, in 1 second, right? Yes, so Ankit, on the basis of the data set, you can move things from dimensions to measures. Tableau auto detects, but you can make changes, Ankit. Okay, right? Okay, Mukul, you have to actually work on Tableau. In the certification, we teach you what to drop on the column and what to drop on the row. For example, over here, I selected country and sum of sales, and automatically Tableau dropped latitude and longitude on the columns and the rows. But I'll give you a hack right now, Mukul, okay? And the hack is, if I click on country and I click on sales and I click on show me, it automatically tells me which graph to choose. And when I double click the graph, I don't have to do anything. Tableau automatically, drops things on the rows, columns for me, and on the details and the shapes for me. So I didn't actually do it. Tableau did it for me. But I want to figure out how the sales are in each of the states in United States. So it's $2.2 million. Sales look good. First of all, I'll increase the size of the sales a little bit, make it about this big. Now, if I want to see which state, I'm getting a lot of sales in, I'm going to drag out states and drop it on the chart. There we go. The moment I do that, it breaks it up into all of the different states globally for each of the countries, including India. Okay, I'm just going to reduce the size of these bubbles. I'm going to just work on the transparency and give it a nice deep blue border there, right? And now I'm going to bring profit into the picture. It's not just about sales. So Varun, you're absolutely right. It's like the pivot in Excel, right? Ujjwal, thank you for your response. I'm going to drop color. I'm going to bring color into the picture, so I'll drop profit on top of color. Simple. I want color. I want to see where I'm profitable, where I'm not profitable. So I drop profit on color, and now I see that in the US, I'm making a lot of profits in California, New York, in Europe, clearly the United Kingdom. Australia is pretty healthy with the exception of the capital territory. But I am making losses in Texas. I'm making losses in Illinois, in Ohio. right? And I'm making losses here in Philippines, Thailand, Pakistan, Turkey, and Stockholm, Sweden. Okay, so I have some thinking to do now. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go with intuitive colors. I'll edit the colors and just step up the colors to 6. Use the full color range, nice and easy. And I'll make very good profits green color, because green is, something we all understand. And now, isn't this a great way to depict the profits globally for this data set, right? Okay, but it doesn't stop there. What I can also do is I can take, for example, any particular, you know category or subcategory, and I can right click on it and add a filter, and I can add this filter. And in the filter, I could actually make it a single values list like this. So now it's responsive. So watch what happens now. Now when I project and I click on a particular category, immediately the graph responds and tells me, for example, furnishings, it looks like we've got a lot of losses in North America. But machines, let's look at machines. Phones looks like North America is pretty profitable with the exception of Ohio and Pennsylvania. So this is really, really interactive, and that's how powerful a tool Tableau is. But it doesn't stop there. You can actually do predictive analytics on Tableau. So if I want to know, how the profits are doing, it's possible to figure out where actually the profits are good, where they are not good, and what is impacting profits. So you don't have to follow on this, but I can show you now. Suppose I'm concerned about shipping cost impacting profits, so I'm going to drop shipping cost on the column. I'm going to drop profit on the rows and see what's actually resulting in the loss, right? And I'm going to pick up all the markets. I'll drop market on top of shape over here, right? Like this. So I see each of the markets represented as a different shape: APAC, EMEA, North America. But I also want to look at the different categories of products and see where I'm making profits and where I'm not. So I'll drop categories on color, and I want to see each and every customer. So I'll pick up all the customer IDs, I'll drop them on top of detail. Don't worry about this. I'm going to make this really easy for you when you join the program, and I'm going to disaggregate the data, which means each and every record in the database is going to be represented as one point on this graph, and I can easily tell that furniture is not making a lot of profits. Furniture is blue, and this is the line of profit that you see over here, right? And you can see that a lot of transactions are below this line. Now I'm interested in predicting why all of these transactions are not profitable, and you can do that using the analytics tab. I'm going to drop a linear regression trend line. Moment I do that, I can see that the blue line is least profitable. So furniture is least profitable, and then over here red, technology is more profitable, and office supplies are also quite profitable. So this is predictive analytics. Now we're predicting profit on the basis of shipping cost. Okay, and we've actually got an equation over here. This is how easy it can be if you learn analytics to do this. And this whole thing is recorded, but don't worry, you can practice the whole thing. We've got the data set which we'll give you, those of you that are interested. So now, Ujjwal, over to you. I hope you folks found this demo really, really interesting. Can you say yes in the chat box, folks, if you found this demo interesting? Right, and you got a sense of Tableau and the power of Tableau. Thank you so much. Andrew, thank you so much. Abhishek, Mukul, Chandana, and now Ashmeet. And we're going to go to our next demo, which is text mining. And this is even more interesting, okay? So we've got Ujjwal that's going to take over here. Ujjwal, I'm going to make you the presenter. Right, Ujjwal, I've unmuted you.
Thanks, Amit. Yep, thanks a lot, Amit.
Right, Kishore, the duration of the course is 8 weeks, and after the course, you get 1 week to complete your capstone project. Okay, that's the question that he asked. Okay, here we go. So, Ujjwal, you're the host now. There you go. All yours for text mining using R for all of you. And even if you don't know how to program, folks, trust me, Ujjwal is one of the best people to learn coding in R from, right? He makes it so easy that anyone, even if you're a bachelor's in commerce, economics, you can easily learn how to do this. So don't be put off or scared of the coding. It's really easy. Small codes that Ujjwal does, right? Okay, Ujjwal, over to you for your magic.
Thanks a lot, Amit. Thanks a lot for that. Uh, Guys, quickly, first of all, don't get worried with the code which is written out here, because once we'll start explaining it in the course, you'll feel that this is just a child's play. Okay, it is damn simple. There's nothing complicated about it. Okay. I think in the beginning of this whole lecture, Amit talked about text being used a lot of times for analytics. Okay, can some of you take a quick hand at identifying that what kind of analysis can be done using free text? You write a lot of text in your emails, on Twitter, on LinkedIn. How do you think we can make use of it? Any guesses, anybody? Okay, so here we have people. Tejinder says sentiment, Mukul says word cloud, and then we say text summarization, sentiment analysis. Thanks a lot, guys. I think you have really, talked about what I'm planning to cover today. Now, let me just ask another quick question to you. Let's say if I ask all of you that, tell me what is going on about Flipkart. Flipkart is one of the e-commerce companies in India, which is biggest competitor to Amazon. And if I'll ask you to summarize everything around Flipkart which has happened in last 15 days, how will you do it? You'll probably end up reading a lot of newspapers and articles around it, try and see the news which is coming on TV, and then prepare a quick summarization. But in order to do that, what will you do? You'll spend a lot of time, you know by making sure that you read all the articles correctly, by making sure that you read the news and watch TV. What if I tell you that by using text summarization, which can be very easily done on R, you can do the whole summarization within maybe 2 minutes, not more than that. And let's look at it how we can really do it. So the first thing which I was thinking of covering today is summarizing a lot of things around Flipkart at one place, which is one of the applications of text analytics. So in order to summarize events around Flipkart, I used Twitter as my source. So what I'll do is I'll pick up some 500 tweets from Twitter about Flipkart, and I'll summarize them in the form of a word cloud. So while I have executed the statement, what is happening is that my R programming language is fetching some 500 tweets from Twitter which are about the word Flipkart. Okay, the moment this fetching is done, I'll do some processing on the data. Okay, so the processing on the data is done, and then I'll probably clean the data a little, because uh, I think a lot of you must have noticed that while we tweet, we put a lot of web addresses, we put a lot of hashtags, we'll put a lot of at the rates. So it's important to clean all those up, because if you'll see all those coming into your word cloud, which you'll see shortly, you'll probably not be able to make a lot of sense out of it. So that's why it is important to clean all those crap out. And once I have done that, is where, so Mukul is asking, is this an API which allows us to access Twitter websites? Yes, Mukul, there is an API for all those people who are not technical. Uh, there is a gateway, or there is a gate to enter Twitter's application and take tweets out of it. Okay, and that is what Mukul is terming as API. Thanks a lot, Mukul, for asking that question. So I think once I've done that, let's see what people are talking about when it comes to Flipkart. Wow. So guys, let's just look at it. What do you think is happening with Flipkart? Can you see the name Amazon? Why do you think an Amazon name always comes in whenever we talk about Flipkart? Any clues? Competitors. Exactly. These are immediate competitors. So a talk about Flipkart can never be complete if you're not really talking about Amazon. Apart from that, there is a word which you can see over here as billion. Why do you think this word would have come in? Amazing, Mukul. Amazing. Guys, one of the biggest events which Flipkart holds is the big billion day sale, and that could be one of the reasons that people are really talking about it. They are probably expecting Flipkart to launch another billion day sale, or they are requesting Flipkart to do something like that. Let me ask another question. Why do you think a word like SoftBank has come in? Very good, Kishore. SoftBank is an investor to Flipkart, and there has been a recent deal by Flipkart to buy out which company? Which company has Flipkart bought out recently, guys? Exactly, eBay. And who really funded that deal? SoftBank, guys. SoftBank was one of the biggest, is one of the biggest investors in Flipkart, and they have really helped Flipkart to, do go ahead and do this deal, as you can see, coming out over here. Right now, guys, let's just understand this view a little. Okay, over here you're getting a lot of words which are being talked about with relation to Flipkart. A word which is bigger in size means there is a lot of talk around that. Okay, a word which is smaller in size is the word which is being talked a little lesser as compared to the bigger words. So as you can see, that deal is the word which is being talked about the most over here, and the deal probably which people are talking about is the Flipkart and eBay deal, which has recently happened. Right? So you see that a summarization of 500 tweets in just a simple visualization, and you can get all the information you want out of it, though not very concrete, but at a very high level you can understand that what is happening about that particular topic. Okay, now let me ask another small question. If this is what is happening about Flipkart, what is your sentiment around it? Do you feel good about Flipkart, bad about Flipkart, positive, negative? How do you think it is about Flipkart? So Madhu says positive. What about others? Gokul is also pretty positive. All right. Everybody, Ankit is saying he has a mixed view. He probably liked eBay a little more, but that's okay. Okay, a few of you have a mixed view around it. Let's see that all these 500 tweets which are there, what kind of sentiments do they bring on table? Okay, and for that I'll run another small set of codes. Okay, and try and understand that how what is the sentiment of these tweets, of these 500 tweets. Okay, and let me quickly run that and see, as all of you felt, or I would say most of you felt, there's the maximum sentiment is the positive sentiment. A lot of people are positive about the way Flipkart is going on. Okay, whereas there is very less of negative sentiment, as a lot of you were ambiguous or having a mixed feeling. There is some kind of an anticipation going on. Okay, and probably the trust is also building up. Right, guys? So see, it is a real picture of what people are feeling about the topic which we have just discussed. I think there is a question from Gokul, and Gokul is saying, how can we classify the sentiments based on tweet? Okay, Gokul, okay, so let me go a little deeper now. And in order to explain that, let me show you a sentence. Okay, I'm highlighting a sentence on my screen right now, and just read through this sentence. Okay, the sentence says, I bought an iPhone a few days ago. It is such a nice phone, although a little large. The touchscreen is cool. The voice quality is clear too. I simply love it. What do you feel about this statement? It has some positive words. It has some kind of trust building up or not, or what do you think? If you look at all these sentiments, what kind of sentiments will you get out of this sentence? Happy, positive, joy, trust, right? Exactly. This is what our small code is doing. Our small code is picking up these words looking at certain form of dictionary, okay, and basis the classification from the dictionary, it is classifying those words into these sentiments. So if I'll run this small code over here on the statement, as all of you expected, there is one word which is around joy, and there are two positive words, and this is how even our tweets are getting classified. So for each tweets, the code will try and pick up these kind of words which we have already fed as part of the dictionary, okay, and once it has picked up these words is where it is creating this beautiful plot from where you can decide that what kind of sentiment is coming out. Varun is asking how is the classification words are decided. Varun, these are pre-fed into our code, okay, these are already there as part of our packages, and that's how they get picked up. But uh, but the point is that you can define your own set of dictionary, okay. R gives you that kind of a flexibility, okay. Abhishek has asked the question, so R maintains a database? No, Abhishek, R doesn't maintain a database, but the packages or okay, a few of you have worked on C++, right? And a lot of you must be remembering that initial code which we always put in, hash include iostream.h. What that code does is it picks up set of functions and provides you with those functions to make use of, okay. Functions as in you want to add, you really don't have to write a plus sign, you can make use of a function, okay. Similarly, R has libraries which has predefined functions, okay, and you can make use of these functions to do this cool stuff. So Abhishek, R doesn't have a database, but it has predefined functions which can do these things for you. Uh, Gunjan is asking how about ambiguity. That is, Gunjan, currently that is not defined as part of one of these words, okay, but we can always define that word into our own library. That should be absolutely okay. Right, guys? Any other questions from anybody? So Vindhya is asking, what if these are factually incorrect? I mean, it is not what actually meant. Oh yeah, wonderful question, Vindhya. So I think that is where we're getting into the realm of natural language processing, wherein things like sarcasm and all these things come into play. Okay. So yes, we can do all of that also using text mining. Okay. And for that, you need to have those advanced natural language processing, packages which can do that kind of a job for you. But these kind of packages do exist in there. Gunjan, this code will definitely be available. I think Amit will be able to give a better picture on that. Amit, will we be sharing this code across with everybody? Amit, are you there? Oh, okay, great. So Amit is saying for the learners, it is definitely provided, and we'll definitely be providing this code across with everybody. Okay. I think there are quite a few questions. So Albert asked that you mean to say we can customize? Yes, Albert, absolutely. We can customize as per our needs, and you'll get to understand all of that while you'll join the course. Varun is asking, text mining can be done in Python also. Varun, yes, definitely. In fact, Python has got a lot of advanced packages which you can make use of to do text mining. Okay. Kishore is asking, would the class teach extraction from Facebook too? Uh, as part of the course, Kishore, we try and stick to extracting data from Twitter, but we can always guide you on how to extract comments and your wall comments from Facebook also. That should not be a problem. Ankit is saying the more the data, better the accuracy. Uh, Ankit, yes, definitely that's true. But at the same time, we also have to understand that more data always comes at a cost. Okay. And if, yes, we are ready to bear that kind of a cost, yes, we can have more data and hence more accuracy. Varun is asking, what about this analysis in Python? Varun, as straightforward as it is in R. Very simple, very straightforward. Okay. And I can see So Aditya is saying, I have employee data in SQL Server and have to generate report with visualizations. Okay, how can I do that? Uh, okay, so Aditya, I think first of all, it is very important to understand that what kind of report you really want to do. Okay, for example, you might want to understand the age these employees belong to, or the kind of experience they bring on table. So as I mentioned in the beginning of the class, it is very important to understand the business problem. So in here, you have to come up and define that what you really want to do. Once you have defined that, is where the visualizations can be created. Okay, so by just saying that you have employee data and you want to create visualization, that's really not the problem which you're trying to solve. Your problem should be as specific as it can get. Yeah, I hope I am able to answer your question. um, Gunjan is asking, is R used only for text data mining? No, Gunjan, not at all. You can do a whole lot of stuff starting from reporting, going till machine learning in R. Okay, and as I said, for each of these techniques or reporting or anything, there are packages available which you can make use of. And also, as Amit mentioned, you can also output these visualizations to Excel and paste them in your PPTs, or whatever you want to do. That's like absolutely okay and very easy when it comes to R. All right, so I think a lot of questions around R and what we can do with it. Oh, okay, Amit, I'll definitely unmute you. I'm sorry for that. Right. Amit, I think I've unmuted you.
Thank you. So, Ujjwal, I was just answering the question, from one of the people on employee data. One of the
Sure.
fastest ways that they could analyze it is you could output the SQL Server data to Excel, or you could connect directly to SQL Server from Tableau or from MSBI Power Pivot, and you can actually create your visualizations there. Like Ujjwal said, the important thing is what are the measures, what is it that you're trying to improve, what business metrics are you trying to impact. For example, are you trying to look at the hike that we've provided people versus the ratings that they've achieved in 2 years, or are you trying to look at attrition in employee data? So it all depends about what are the variables, what are the measures you're trying to analyze. But as far as the technology goes, you can import it into both Tableau. You can connect live from Tableau to SQL Server, or you can actually connect live from Excel, MSBI, Microsoft Power Intelligence tools, that you can embed inside Excel, and you can connect to Power BI as well, right? Yeah. Ujjwal, over to you.
Yes, Amit. I think this is
Okay.
this is one of the things around Flipkart, and I'm happy to run another short word cloud and sentiment analysis on a topic which people would want to look at. So,
Sure,
guys, any
sure.
specific topic which you guys feel we should run on do text mining on?
Right.
Any suggestions or any preferences?
And in the meanwhile, I want to thank Kishore Kumar. He says this session is better than the upgrad session that he recently attended. So thank you, Kishore, for that generous comment. And I think earlier a lot of you, sort of also shared your feedback. I have just one request. Of course, you all need to be there for the class on Sunday, the 23rd. Please do not forget to be there so that you can come and start your analytics learning journey complimentary on Sunday. And really useful demo, says Mukul. Now, any more questions before we run more interesting sentiment analytics and other things for you, right? So Albert says R is an old model of analytical tool compared to Python is what I've heard, but I'm not sure. Please clarify the same, as both have different set of purposes. Okay. So Ujjwal, you can also add
Yeah,
on to that. Yeah.
sure. So Albert, uh, R and Python are in the same space. Now, old model or new model is something which we define. Okay. Why am I saying that is that both of these are open sources. And there is a community which is spread out world over, which is trying to make both these languages and which is trying to upgrade both these languages. The more the community works, we are being part of that community, the better the tool or language will be. I am very familiar with R. I am very comfortable with R. I can work and create new packages and make it enhanced. Okay. You are probably very comfortable with Python. You can enhance it further. So it's not about that something is old school or something is new school. It is just that how much of new techniques and technologies are really coming onto these languages to enhance their features. Okay, I hope I was able to answer your question. Great. Aditya saying how to get the data into R and do analysis on that data. Aditya, it's if you have, let's say, your data available in CSV files, there is a very small function, just 2 words, read.csv, and give your file path name. That's it. Your CSV will get read into R. It is as simple as that. Okay. Even if you're trying to connect R to databases like Access, SQL Server, or any other thing, there are packages available wherein again you just have to write 1 or 2 functions to connect them to any database you would really want to connect to. Okay. Uh,
Okay, so I actually shared a very interesting link, Ujwal, with everybody. It's from a site called datacamp.com. And they've got this really nice article that if you people want to read up on it, right? The R versus Python debate. I think both of them are really popular, really strong languages. And I've added this article to, the Word document as well, right? So everybody can actually read that particular article and look at the different reasons why R and Python are strong. For example, if you look at it, the release years of each of the languages, who actually made the language, right? And how did its genesis, and who is using it, who is not, what's the support from the community, usability, flexibility, everything is there on this link, right? Really cool link you can have a look at. Okay, thank you, Ankit.
right. I think there is another question from Jatin, if I'm not wrong, wherein he's asking that do we need basic of Python also, or R is enough? Uh, okay, Jatin, that's an amazing question, to be very honest. And people generally get into this kind of a conversation that, or they ask a lot of these questions that if I know R, is this good enough? Uh, yes, good enough till the time Python is not enhancing its skills with new packages coming in. And if they are implementing some new technology first, then yes, definitely you have to pick up that technology also. It's always good to know both the languages, but even if you know R or you know Python, that's really good enough to do any kind of modeling technique, implement any kind of modeling technique in there. Okay. And as Amit mentioned, tools are just a medium to implement technology or techniques. Okay, they keep coming and going. Around 4 years back, SAS was at its peak, okay, in the analytics market. It is still there, but R and Python have really taken over. Okay, so it all depends that how well you understand the techniques. Okay, and understanding a technique is more than sufficient, and then you can implement it on any of these technologies or tools, which is absolutely fine.
And on the same lines, right, you want to think of it in terms of Tableau, right? You have Tableau, but you also have a very popular tool for visual analytics that is competing with Tableau. Have any of you heard of a tool called ClickView? Absolutely. So once you do your analytics, folks, you have to present it, using a visual analytics tool. And ClickView is as good as Tableau. Probably Tableau has the edge, and I think R and Python and SAS are all very good for the predictive, right? Now, I want to throw it open. We're done with the demos. We want to answer any question that's on your mind about analytics, any question whatsoever. Okay, before I, reclaim the host and show you the document again. So, Abhilasha, Abhishek, Aditya, Akshay, Albert, Andrew, Ashmeet, Bhavik, Chandana, any question? George Arenas, Gokul, any questions? Jatin, Jeffrey, any questions whatsoever? Like, we'll take all your questions. Okay. Is there any way to study Amazon data? Hey, look, someone has to give you an API, but if you don't have an API, you can scrape the data, right? And scraping is something that you can do very well in R or in Python as well. So you need to, for example, if you want to scrape and do, a study on the pricing, okay, of different products on Amazon, you can use a scraping code in R or Python to do that, right? Amazon doesn't give you an API. Facebook has an API, but it's not free. Twitter has a free API. That's why we ran this for you on Twitter. Google Analytics. So Zilu, I hope I have pronounced your name well. Okay, Google Analytics is important for sure if you're actually running a web-based business, right? So if you have a web-based business, for example, we at EquiSkill have actually installed Google Analytics, and we actively track, how many people come on the site, go, and the measures, are things like bounce rate, like how many people come and immediately leave the site, or click-through rate. These are the measures in Google Analytics, like how many people actually click on the links and move ahead. So Google Analytics is very important for web-based businesses. Z, thank you for that question. And by scraping, did I mean web crawling? Yes, people call it a crawler as well, right? It can be a bot that actually crawls other websites and gets you data, like Amazon website. Mukul says thank you. Okay, more questions, folks? SAS we are learning, is this included in the course? We are going to teach Ashmeet descriptive analytics in SAS, linear regression in SAS, and ARIMA time series forecasting in SAS. So these three techniques will be taught. You'll become relatively comfortable in SAS, and we do have advanced videos that we can give you if you want to practice even more SAS, right? Okay. Now, how difficult is it to create visualizations out of NoSQL data? It is not difficult. If you import it into Tableau, it is really easy. Now, I can't see your name. It says Gunjan, but if you could please tell me your name, because it shows up as Gunjan in the chat box, which I think is a default. Z says, thanks. Z, please do get certified in Google Analytics. It's nice and easy to do it. It doesn't take a lot of time. It's light learning, right? Okay, Tejinder says really cool insights about analytics. Thanks, Amit and Ujjwal. You're most welcome, Tejinder. Okay, Santosh says, how about probability theory and calculus sort of mathematical concepts used to use the algorithms? Okay, Ujjwal, do you want to take that question? Is that important?
Uh, Amit, I think probability is something which we anyways cover as part of our curriculum. Okay, calculus is something which definitely applies to a few techniques, but implementation of core calculus in analytics is really not required. It comes as as an application to the technique. So we really don't have to get into calculus kind of activity when it comes to analytics.
Thank you. And Rajiv says, will analytics be a repetitive job, or how repetitive is it? Hey, look, Rajiv, initially, I cannot deny that some of the setups may have standard models or standard reports that people are generating on a regular basis. But mostly, the push in analytics is to automate those dashboards and those reports so that the work that you do is new in nature, right? And it is not too repetitive. For certain, each data set is very different from another data set, and it's very interesting if you like data, or a job that involves analyzing data. I think the work in that sense is not repetitive. Wherever it is repetitive, I think, Rajiv, where the challenge is also that you can push for automation, right, if work is repetitive. And I think that is incumbent on all of us when we do any work that is repetitive, that we should try to push for it to get automated. Okay. Okay. Now, for how long can I use the class recording after I complete the course, says Kishore? For your whole life. Okay, so it's lifetime access to the LMS. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Will I be learning both R and Python? Vasudev Rao asked. Okay, Vasudev, we had covered this a little earlier, but I'll just share it again. It's R, SAS, Tableau, and there's also Power BI in Excel, right? So you need to install Power BI. These are what we cover in the course, and also an introduction to SQL. Okay, right. Okay, and that's more than enough. After that, you can easily pick up, right? Vindhya says, what keeps you interested in this job? Okay, well, I think it's new data every day, right? And new problems to solve. Okay, that's another thing that I find very interesting. To solve using the data. But then above all, I think what is also very interesting is that the insights are truth. I mean, in the sense that truth is a subjective term, but the truth in the sense that there's a mathematical sort of confidence level, and you're talking very accurately, right? and you actually observe patterns, where there were none, visible to the naked eye. You start observing those patterns. Okay, this is really, really interesting, Vindhya, right? The sense of discovery. Ujjwal will tell you more about, what keeps him interested in analytics. Ujjwal, over to you.
Vindhya, just a very small example, okay, and that will answer your question. Let's say tomorrow one of your friends come in and tells you that I'm opening a store in Mumbai, okay, and you look at some of the data or historic data and tells him or her that Mumbai is not the right place for you, go to Bangalore. And that person really takes your advice and comes to Bangalore, and to your surprise, his or her business really does well. Okay, then just think of the kick which you'll get out of it, that your recommendation really worked for somebody, because you could really take some information out of the existing data and help your friend out. Okay, and that is what keeps us going, because every time we do something, we are trying to help the business, and the moment business makes use of our information or our insights, they do something good for themselves, and that's what keeps us happy.
Okay, so look, folks, I'm available. Ujjwal and I are very happy to answer all your questions. Okay, what you want to do is, we've reached the end of the session. So let me see if I can reclaim the host and show you some very important resources here. Ujjwal, if there's any questions, you can take them while I actually share my screen now.
Sure, definitely, Amit, I'll do that.
Okay, let me just see here. There we go. So as you can see here, I've added the coupon code for those who are paying in Indian rupees, the additional 1,000 rupees off coupon code. Those who are paying US dollars, we've got a huge $100 discount. So you can just click on the link and pay without worries. We've got, a refund for 21 days. It's right here. So it's an unconditional refund. You can actually reach me on 9731657840091 is the prefix, and you can WhatsApp as well on my number. I'm very happy to answer your questions on WhatsApp. You can email us your questions on contact@EquiSkill.com. We're very happy to answer your questions. Again, I would request that you like, our Facebook page. Okay, and I'm going to put that over here. And some of you asked, do we provide placement support? Okay, so the cool part is you can actually read from our learners who actually got placed. So we helped them out, and the good news is they got jobs. And you can see here Nazia, she got reached the final round of interview. We've got Anjani, who we placed him 2 times actually, once for an internship, and then we placed him for a job. We have Amit Rai, who got placed. We have Samir, who now works with Deloitte. So you can see this here, Samir Kumar. So he works with Deloitte now. So we definitely provide placement assistance to those who want it, and we've been able to place many people apart from these people, right? And we stay in touch with you for at least a period of 4 months, as you actually look for new opportunities, right? For those of you that are interested in jobs in analytics, many of you just want to learn analytics, right? Okay. Rajiv Vede, I hope that answers your question, Rajiv. All I need from those who want to transition and learn analytics is a little bit of hard work, and I think Ujjwal is saying the same thing, right? Let me unmute Ujjwal here. Okay. Oh, you are
Uh,
unmuted. Okay. Okay. Yes. Yes.
yeah, so Amit, I think there was this question from Aditya that uh, will he be able to give analysis report for transportation business, or of the same kinds of businesses professionally as part of his work after the course of 8 weeks. And what I told him is that he can do anything or everything he wants, provided he puts in the right effort in there, because unless people don't put in effort, even the course will not help, because this is not spoon feeding, guys. Understand, this is not at all spoon feeding. This is about your own effort. We are just a medium via which you will understand some things, but ultimately the effort is going to be yours.
Right. Absolutely. And another question that came in just now is, what about the recording? Okay. So what I'm going to do, folks, is you only need one link. That's it. I want you to save this one link. I'll email it to all of you. It's going to have everything you need. So the recording is also going to be posted right here. Okay, and I need to convert the recording, so I will insert it here, right? I'll insert the link here for the recording. Okay, so all you need to do is, keep this link carefully. Let me share this link with all of you. I've shared it earlier, the Google Doc link. Okay, Jatin, I just said a short while ago that we've placed a lot of people. We've got people interviews, right? We are more than happy to support you in your journey, and we also help you with your resume, right? So all of those helps. I'm a vice president of analytics, and I can definitely be of support to you. It can take 2 to 4 months for you to find the right opportunity, so I'll be in touch with all of you during that period. Okay, there we go. Did everyone get the link? Can you say yes in the chat box if you got the Google Doc link that has all the resources you need? Okay, Madhu, everyone says yes. Yes, and Rajiv, you will be very interested to know that we've just placed one of our learners by name Amit Rai Chaudhary, who has 15 years of experience in IT, and he's moved and he's become a data scientist. Okay, it's a little harder, but I was able to place Amit Rai Chaudhary. And do email me, Rajiv. I'll connect you up with Amit Rai Chaudhary. He'll be able to share with you his journey and how he managed to move from IT to data science after 10 plus years of experience, and the support that I provided him in that journey, right? Okay, so Rajiv, do email me. I'll connect you up with Amit Rai. Share his link. Any other questions? Jeffrey, Andrew, okay, everyone said yes. Chandana, everyone said yes. Look, I'm super excited. We usually have a lot of learners from North America, Middle East, and India, and I'm excited about all of you joining up. In the current batch, we have a bunch of people from Texas, Boston, Nevada, right? We've got folks from Nigeria, and so typically it's an international class, and you learn a lot from each other. You learn about how business is going on in different countries. Good. So if we don't have more questions, is it okay if we close out for the day? And all of you, have you already clicked on the next class and registered yourself? Can you confirm that? Okay, this is the next class, right? Can you all do this favor for me? Can you please click on this link and register? Now, understand that the discounts are only going to be valid for up to the 22nd, okay? So to be clear, we have a 21-day refund policy, but on the 22nd, it's all going to end, okay? So you want to actually, use the discounts before the 22nd, okay? Do not worry, it's actually through PayPal, right? And so we're going to start the entire journey. Akshay Reddy says, what are we covering in the next class? So we're going to get deep into Tableau, right? And then R, statistics and R, from the next class onwards. So it's the entire course that you can see on the Analytics Accelerator course page, okay? So please do take full benefit of the discounts, folks, and see you in the class next week on Sunday. And remember, it's not at 8 p.m. India time, it's 7:30 p.m. India time, which is 10 a.m. Eastern time in the US, okay, with the daylight savings. This good deed is very much appreciated. Okay, absolutely, right. And I think the only help is some of you, if you liked this class, okay, can you please click on this link on Quora.com and just share your experience of this, webinar? I would deeply appreciate it. Or if you can, also like our Facebook page and share your comments about this particular class or your reviews on the facebook.com/EquiSkill. I would be really happy and obliged if you could do that, right? Here we go. Let me just share that link with you. You can just share your review on Facebook and Quora. I would really appreciate it. Okay, so when is the next session? So the next class is actually complimentary on the 23rd, Arumugam. And Arumugam, we have a lot of options. If you're a student, we have discounts for students. So please do write to us. If you're a student, Arumugam, we have part payments and installments if that helps you. Okay, so just write to me at contact@EquiSkill.com, or WhatsApp me or give me a call at 97316 and we will definitely make sure that if you're a learner and you need some flexible options, we will take care of that. Okay. Okay. Great. Thank you, everyone. We're ending the session for the day. It was a genuine pleasure having you all with us in this presentation. And again, please do like our Facebook page and share your feedback on Quora or Facebook about this particular session. Albert says, looking forward to the next sessions. Albert, you're most welcome. We'll see you on next Sunday. Ashmeet, thank you so much. Arumugam, thank you. Please reach out to me. And everyone else, Jeffrey, looking forward to hearing from you. Jeffrey, Chandna, Andrew, looking forward to hear from Ankit, Vasudev, all of you. Mukul, thank you so much for joining the session and see you in the next class on Sunday.